Cynthia Freeland. Guys, week 2 is here. Time for us to take all the things that we learned from week 1, crumble it up, Greg, and throw it out the window.
I learned so much. Mostly, I learned that my hot streak with making the picks is continuing. Let's take a look. I just can't wait to see it. I want to see it right now.
All right, Cynthia, we don't really care how your week went.
No one cares.
Let's look at Greg making the face and wearing the crown as Greg goes 13-3, Cynthia 12-4, and I dropped the game 11-5. So we're trying to make a comeback, Cynthia.
I just need him to roll the dice like that every single time.
I'm just saying, it's like, oh, let's talk about how happy we are. This is what makes me happy. Look at this. There's like going to be a spot on my head that crown is making an indentation.
Okay, all right. So we're going to get a new chapter here. Speaking of rivalries, as Greg makes one with us. The Burrow-Mahomes rivalry this weekend. Joe is one of the only humans on earth to have bested Patrick Mahomes consistently. He started his career 3-0 against him. At one point, folks were even calling Arrowhead Burrowhead Stadium. However, the last time they met, the nickname did not work out.
This is the AFC Championship game.
60 minutes for the rest of your season.
He's sacked!
Playoff Frank Clark showing up early.
Hey, we gotta put up 7.
Holmes now fires it late. Touchdown!
More.
Let's be legendary on this drive.
Oh,
A leaping catch for a touchdown.
That's what I'm talking about. Peace.
Boys, let's go. Keep going, 9.
Mahomes on a bad ankle will fire it late for the end zone. Caught! Touchdown!
Hey, great job. We keep working. Keep going.
On 4th and 6.
Chase makes the catch.
That's why you got me, Zach.
P-Ryan ties the game at 20.
2 possessions left. We're going to go down and score. 2 more big stops and we're going to the Super Bowl.
Who's going to be the hero? It's knocked away and intercepted.
41 seconds left in regulation.
He's going to get a first down and now gets hit late. It'll be a 15-yard penalty on top of the game. Butker's kick is up and it is good.
Hold the game. Hold the completely wrong. Yes, sir.
KC would go on to beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl that year. Now we're getting the next edition of Burrow-Mahomes. Cincy trying to avoid yet another 0-2 start after losing to the Patriots in Week 1. Greg, do they bounce back against the champs?
I mean, in a manner of speaking, yes, they play better, but they still lose. That's what matters to them. They lose by 3, 27-24, so a better effort, but they're still going against Patrick Mahomes, who somehow keeps getting better. How can the greatest quarterback of all time through his 6-7 seasons starting get better? It's because of his pocket movement. Now, I mean, he always was great at this, but now his feel of how to avoid that first rusher, stay in the pocket, and make a great throw, to me, is getting to Tom Brady level. So, of course, yeah, he can make all the crazy arm angles and the arm strength and all of that, but his way to stay in the pocket and avoid rushers, to me, is better than it's ever been. And when he gets, a ball batted back in his face, he can make a big play like that. That's just outrageous, too. So it's everything that you want. I think the Bengals defense comes out and makes him work for it, but 27-24.
You just did an entire thing on Patrick Mahomes, and then you said it's going to be a close game. You're like, but the Bengals are going to do better. And I agree in one particular area. However, my score, 27-19, means Patrick Mahomes will absolutely reign supreme. But here's the thing we're not going to see this weekend. They gave Patrick Mahomes single high safety coverage. What are you doing? 14 times. Guess how many he completed? The answer is 12 for 151 yards. I just wanted to put it on your screen because the chances of Lou Anarumo rolling out with single high are like almost nothing, like very close to 0. So let's just watch and behold the beauty of the yak that can be earned when you give Patrick Mahomes single high coverage.
Love it.
Rashee Rice, 79 of his 100 yards were all yak. It was gorgeous. We're not going to see it this week.
Yes, gorgeous for Chiefs fans, especially. But I think things were especially bad for fans of the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 1 against the New England Patriots, where it did not go well. I think things will go significantly better, but I still have a 1-point loss for the Cincinnati Bengals.
1 point.
But hey, Tanner Hudson's not going to have the ball punched out on the 1-inch line by Kyle Duggar. That doesn't happen. The game is entirely different. The play before that, Mike Gesicki had a touchdown bounce out of his hands when he hit the ground in the corner of the end zone. And then there's special teams mistakes where the ball gets coughed up, the Patriots take over at the 25-yard line. All of these things happen. We would feel so much different about Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals had they not happened. But we still feel the way we do about the Kansas City Chiefs. That's why it is a meme alert. Come get us, Cincinnati Bengals, who have started back-to-back seasons, according to this.
Yeah, no, more than that, 1-8.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good early. And so while Mahomes and Burrow renegotiate their rivalry, Dak Prescott just finished his negotiation with the Cowboys, then stepped out in the field, took care of business last weekend in Cleveland. He threw for 179 and a touchdown. Dallas rolled 33-17 over the Browns in the opener. The Cowboys now play host to the Saints Sunday. They've won 16 straight at home. New Orleans coming off a 47-10 destruction of the Panthers. Do they carry the momentum, Cynthia, in and
Which
beat
team?
the Dallas Cowboys?
No.
The Saints. Oh.
No, Dallas's momentum reigns supreme here. What? We don't know about momentum. Ask Patrick about that later. He hates it. 25-21, Dallas wins this game. We're going to learn a little something both about the Saints offense, which we got kind of not great data on, and also the Cowboys defense, not great data on them as well. But I want to point something out. Derek Carr, congratulations, my friend. He had exactly 3 passes under pressure. Completed all 3 of them. One was a quick pressure, by the way. One was a touchdown. It was amazing. Do you know what his passer rating was on under pressure passes last week? 158.3.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
Not going to happen this week, but I wanted to point that out because it was fun. I liked his swagger. The whole thing was great. Not going to happen. We're going to actually see who both of these offense and defense, and they have new coordinators, so we'll get actual data this week on them, but fun to look back at those 3 passes.
Yeah, I look at their offensive line, the Saints. They played so well. Like, will they be able to protect Carr? I don't know, but I trust the Saints' defense this week. That's why I got it close. Again, I keep talking about the team I predict to lose, but Cowboys 20, Saints 17. This Saints defense came to play, and yes, it's going to be a much tougher matchup, but this is a veteran crew. I'd love to know how healthy their secondary is, but Tyrann Mathieu practiced on Thursday, and that's a good sign for them. Their pass rush is going to be better this year with Chase Young, who had a great first week. Alontae Taylor playing great in coverage. They're also using him as a blitzer. It is a veteran
He has 3
defense.
He has 3 sacks.
He's on pace for 56 sacks.
It's ridiculous.
He's tied
And
for the league lead in sacks, and he's a defensive back.
it's
Love
one of
that.
the defenses that's great on every level, so I feel bad for Dak Prescott. I think he's having to play 2 of the best defenses in the league, back-to-back, Browns and Saints. So the Saints keep it close. This is one of my favorite picks of the week, that it's a close game.
All right, well, one of the things that people could feel bad from Dak Prescott about was just how easy the Packers ran over the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs, a real need at linebacker, and a lot of that was because in the second preseason game, DeMarvion Overshawn, they drafted him out of Texas, believed he was going to do a lot, tore his ACL. Well, he comes out in the opener, and he's spectacular. He only had 1 actual pass rush, but he had multiple pressures because he was spying Deshaun Watson, and he was so fast that he got to Deshaun Watson before he crossed the line of scrimmage. So he gets pressure and sacks on those plays. He was incredible in the middle of the field. I think it's going to make Dallas's defense and the Mike Zimmer defense a whole lot better coming into 2024. So that's why I've got a 26-22 win for the Dallas Cowboys. We're all on board, and if we get memed by folks in New Orleans, it means that they've won the team.
I mean,
the fans
we picked you all to cover. We meme us for that, too.
Yeah, we believe, and we know that you want to believe as well. We got another monster matchup this weekend, the Bucs and the Lions. These teams met in last year's NFC divisional round. Jared Goff tossed 2 touchdowns. Baker threw a few picks, and Cynthia's Lions came out on top 31-23. Baker is coming off of a 4-touchdown performance of his own last week against Washington. The Lions squeaking one out against the Rams. How do you feel about your Lions in this game, Cynthia?
I mean, why are we going through and having the redo of the playoffs again in the exact same order? It just doesn't necessarily feel fair, but I think they're going to win this one again. It's going to be closer, though. I have 20. Ferocious. 27-21. Do it again. Can you do the line
give us the line.
Play it again.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really hungry line. Maybe I need to change my score a little bit. But I'm looking at the opportunity here for a guy who we saw be electric. A coach said that he knows how to handle success. He knows that it's going to be okay. Well, you know what? We also know that Jameson Williams is going to be okay. He watched Xavier Worthy run the football on Thursday night, and they're like, hey, you know what? I see her, Xavier Worthy, and I'm going to give you Jameson Williams. And I'm actually going to have her run faster miles per hour than Xavier Worthy in this one particular week, which is a highly scientific study, over 21 miles an hour. Look, I'm just saying, he's arrived. He should be talked in that speedy ilk. perhaps the Lions have found something here.
He's the man, and when you watch the tape on him, he goes out and blocks too. Even for a small guy, like as a receiver, he blocks. You know who else blocks well? Tristan Wirfs. I'm going to be watching this Tristan Wirfs versus Aiden Hutchinson matchup. I have the Lions winning this game 30-24.
Make the noise.
But one of the reasons I have the Bucs scoring so many points in this game and keeping it close enough is because they have a great offensive line and a great left tackle in Tristan Wirfs. Aiden Hutchinson, one of the best pass rushers in the league, coming off just an absolutely fantastic performance. He actually did quite well against Wirfs in the playoff game in this matchup a year ago, and yet I just think it's going to be top-notch football. These are two teams that have a lot of continuity. I think two of the best teams in the NFC. At first, I had the Lions covering, and I thought, that's disrespectful. This Bucs team looked awesome a week ago. I think it's back and forth, a lot of points in this game.
My belief has shifted as well, because coming in, even when we had our meeting today, guys, I had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning this game. But then I realized,
come on.
No Antoine Winfield Jr. It's just so tough because Todd Bowles' defense was a good reason that I made this pick originally of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what they were able to do, especially in the run game, because Detroit's run game was so good down the stretch against the Los Angeles Rams. But it's hard to just wipe away one of the best safeties in the entire NFL. And the fact that he's out now potentially for multiple weeks, it caused me to reconsider. And it's just tough to take a team that lost to this team in the playoffs back in January to come in and get an upset.
I'm disappointed.
In Detroit. Well, I mean, how disappointed can we really be? We're all.
I wanted to pick up a game on you. I didn't see that happen.
Greg is almost as ruthless and as hungry
You also
as that
kind
lion.
of talk smack to the viewers. Oh yeah, well yeah, like okay.
Okay.
He's unruly coming up. We got more unruly Greg picking games, including
Are you that
Sunday Nighter between C.J. Stroud and Caleb Williams. Are the Bears ever going to score an offensive touchdown? Find out if we think so next on Game Day View.
NFL Game Day View is presented by Mercedes-Benz. Luxury SUVs now come with the luxury of choice. Mercedes-Benz has gas, electric, and plug-in hybrid offerings. Learn more at MBUSA.com.
with NFL Plus, catch all the action and stream live, local, and primetime games on mobile devices all the way from the regular season through the playoffs. Sign up today at plus.nfl.com. Subscription required for NFL Plus. Terms and conditions apply. It is time for the Drive to Excellence, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Bears, Texans on Sunday night in H-Town. We got this year's top pick in Caleb Williams, taking on last year's Rookie of the Year in C.J. Stroud. How do you see this quarterback battle going on Sunday night?
I think it's going to be a fun one. I think the Texans win 27-20. Both quarterbacks play well. Caleb Williams bounces back and gets a couple touchdowns, but he did struggle a week ago. What concerned me most were the missed throws when he was protected. He was 3 of 13 when he had over 2.5 seconds to throw. And so sometimes you saw open receivers and he didn't hit him. And it's him figuring out, I think, at the pro level, when do I get rid of the ball on time? That's what we want to do more often. And when do I just hold on to it and try to make a play? The interior pressure was a lot last week from the Tennessee Titans. And so the Bears offensive line needs to be better in front of Caleb Williams so that he can make more plays. I think he does this week, but it's not enough.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great start, and that defense was absolutely electric. So I'm giving the Bears defense some respect here, too, with my model. I have 25-20 as my final score. Houston takes this one. Because C.J. Stroud has such varying results against pressure, he can handle a little bit of volatility. So he got sacked 4 times, but he also completed 7 of 9 under pressure for over 100 yards. So we know that he has this opportunity to kind of take the next play, even after being pressured, and make it into something. But the other thing that was really nice was Joe Mixon really showed up, and that helps mitigate some of this volatility. The best formula to win is to have a strong defense and a strong run game, so the advantage here goes to the Texans on both of those regards.
I agree. I've also got a Texans win as well.
Are we all memes so far?
Yeah, we're all memes. This is a meme edition.
Guys, we're morphing into the same person.
I promise.
I'm turning into Greg.
It'd be a great-looking person.
We're going to separate in just a bit. But speaking of separation, Stephon Diggs got all of his targets, all 6 of his targets from C.J. Stroud were within 10 air yards. He had 2 touchdowns out of that. I'm not saying, oh, Stephon Diggs is old and bad now. But I think his ability to read the zones, find the gaps, and be kind of possession is not a bad word in this instance. While Nico Collins and Tank Dell can be on the outside doing all those explosive things, Stephon Diggs provides an opportunity against a very good Bears defense, who I do think keeps it close, but the Texans just really good right now. Again, meme away, as Caleb and CJ, former #1 overall as well as #2 overall picks. What about a #3 overall pick that's balling right now, Sam Darnold, Greg?
Well, what about him?
Darnold shotgun, Aaron Jones to his left, Jefferson wide left. Now Jones heads out to the right. 4th down, pass to the end zone, caught, touchdown! Sam Darnold putting on a show. Darnold is going to throw to the end zone, man wide open, caught, touchdown, Vikings!
Allen is now in the Darnold hive, buzzing in Greg's ear right now. So fired up after what he did against the Giants. Will they be able to slow down the 49ers juggernaut Sunday, though, Cynthia?
How slow, because I have kind of a significant San Francisco win, 28-19. I love Sam Darnold. I feel bad. I just took all the air. I deflated the Sam Darnold balloon. I'm sorry. I still love him. But I want to talk about the lying liar who lies. That is the coach of the San Francisco 49ers, who manages to make every running back. He is the Midas touch for running backs. We thought it was going to be Christian McCaffrey until literally the last minute before they had to tell us who's inactive and who's active. But you know what? You know what didn't matter? Who was running the ball? Because Jordan Mason had just an electric day. He made the Jets defense look like they had never played run defense before. This was just such a really, really clinic on how to all the different types of runs. It wasn't even just one run where they were exploiting. It was kind of all of the entire menu of runs was available to them. So, you know, look, Kyle Shanahan doesn't owe us anything. So it's a joke when I call him a lying liar who lies. But he never tells us anything ahead of time. So the lying liar who lies strikes again, and yet Midas touch on the running back.
One time, my favorite Kyle Shanahan was he's like, I don't know if any of us are going to be here Sunday. But I have an idea.
He doesn't know. That's actually not, that's true.
One person who will be there, because we thought Jordan Mason played great. The defense played great. But 18 of the 49ers points on that win against the Jets came off of the foot of Jake Moody. 6 field goals, 6 for 6 for Jake Moody, which I think is such a weapon in now this era of the the kickoff changes that we've had, the dynamic kickoff, the word escaped me, unlike Jake Moody's field goals, finding between the crossbars here. The field position change is going up. And if you can get in Jake Moody's range and he's going to hit field goals, Greg, it becomes even tougher for even Sam Darnold in this revenge game to come in and get the hive buzzing.
I mean, what a bunch of upsets today. We have Claybon talking momentum, and now we got him talking kickers.
I like kickers.
Second block of the show. I have the 49ers winning, but it's not by that much.
Oh.
I would actually like to make it even closer now. That line was moving. Vikings keep it close because of their run game and Aaron Jones. Sam Darnold, just don't make mistakes and hand the ball off to Aaron Jones. I can't believe the Packers let this guy get away from them. 5 10-yard runs last week. So Jordan Mason was great. You know who was even better? Aaron Jones, second in the NFL in rushing yards over expected. A lot of tough runs like this one where he's carrying those Giants in their khakis. I mean, you knew they were going to lose when they put those uniforms on. Give me a break. Aaron Jones was incredible, though, and I think that's the way you can keep it close against the 49ers.
They were celebrating the existence of the franchise, Greg.
I mean, you invited all those legends. You're going to watch Lawrence Taylor watch this team stink it up? I mean, give me a break.
Maybe LT got out of there by the time there was the pick six by Andrew Van Ginkel. Still to come here, Philly fans couldn't have dreamt of a better debut from Saquon Barkley. 3 touchdowns. And the Eagles now play host to the Falcons on Monday night. Our pick for the Battle of the Birds coming up next on Game Day View.
Want to know who's dominating on defense? Just ask Siri. Who leads the league in tackles?
Hurts back. Hurts looking. Hurts looping it. And it is caught for a touchdown by Barkley. Barkley for a touchdown and a perfect pass as he beats Isaiah McDuffie.
Monday night, Kirk Cousins and the Falcons head to Philadelphia. Atlanta's offense looked like it was stuck, rendering the loss to the Steelers with absolutely nothing to gain in the second half. Last week, do they bounce back against the Eagles, Greg?
They do not. I mean, the Eagles are Cynthia's Super Bowl pick, which I love. I have them winning 26-14, but I'm going to go negative here. It's like an attack ad during political season. Kirk Cousins couldn't move last week. I can't pick a guy who can't move. This was a guy who played his very best using the play-action pass, like 30+% when he was in Minnesota. They didn't do it once last week because he couldn't move. Now, I'm sure this week they hear the chatter. They'll get him outside the pocket. Maybe it'll be proven wrong, but last week he looked like a quarterback that shouldn't have been playing. They have another quarterback on this team, Michael Penix. Maybe they should be playing him. Until I see something better, I'm not taking the Falcons any week, much less against a good team like the Eagles.
Yeah, it would just make a lot of sense to have the young guy play until the veteran, who's coming off of a severe injury and a repair on it, until he could actually play. I also have the Philadelphia Eagles, and because of it, it's a lot of the same thing that the reason we weren't picking the Eagles late last season, and that's because they've got answers to the blitz now. The Packers didn't necessarily overwhelm Jalen Hurts with a lot of double A-gap stuff, but when they sent 4, 5, sometimes 6, a couple times, guys in pressures, Jalen looked calm, cool, had quick answers to everything. That is something that we did not see last year as the offense kind of fell apart. I think that he can handle the pressure, and I've got a 7-point win for the Birds.
Well, I think I'm probably the biggest difference thing here. Yes, Philadelphia wins this one 27-18. Still getting used to this new way of talking, you know, it's really interesting. I want to talk about Saquon Barkley, not just because he ended up in the end zone 3 times, but we did see some problems on that center to quarterback exchange, communication, etc. However, when you have a guy like Saquon, you can mitigate some of those kind of learning curve issues as the O-line settles. So if you're an Eagles fan, and I know all Eagles fans are the most passionate humans on the planet, they will tell you they're Eagles fans from miles away. You're going to be okay with that O-line. I know you're not going to replace Jason Kelce, but things will be okay. Maybe not so much with the tush-push, but it is going to be okay because you've got the quads there instead.
We're Eagles fans. It's like echoing.
I'm telling you, you can hear them down the hall, around the corner, 12 miles from here. It's all good.
Just bouncing off the canyon walls. It's time for Quick Picks here on Game Day View. The Browns and the Jags both looking to bounce back after disappointing week 1s. 0-1 against 0-1. Who becomes 1-1, Greg?
The Jacksonville Jaguars and their Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate, Brian Thomas Jr. This kid was robbed. They gave Jaden Daniels, who didn't even have a good week, Rookie of the Year this week. I would have given it to Brian Thomas Jr., 4 for 42 and a touchdown. Also had a long pass interference, also opening it up for his teammates. He just moves different. Sometimes you don't need to be an expert when it comes to the scouting. This guy is bigger and faster and more agile than almost anyone on the planet. I think he's going to have an outstanding season.
Our lockstep solid trend continues for the show. Let's see if we switch it up, Cynthia. The Raiders and the Ravens. Baltimore laying 8.5, the biggest spread of the week. Is there any chance that Gardner and company come in there and wipe that off the board?
There is always a chance. This is the National Football League, but I have 26-17, so I'm not saying the chance is very strong. We usually save our, write this down for the end of the show, but write this down. Derrick Henry's going to end up in the end zone. Why? Because of the way he runs and how much yards after contact he delivers. I understand that Max Crosby is the best edge rusher against the run. Edge. Just run to the other side. That's the strategy right here.
Good idea.
Run away from Max Crosby, but realistically speaking, get in the end zone. We're going to see it.
All right, this keeps happening. Let's go to Jim Harbaugh's team. They took care of business last week across the street. Now they head to Carolina.
Who's picking Carolina? You?
I'm not picking the Carolina Panthers. I've got the Chargers winning by just 1 because I think that they keep the ball on the ground, as they should, if you saw the Panthers-Saints game. But the thing that I want to talk about is pressure. Ike Ekwonu gave up 6 of them. 6 of them against Chase Young in the opener. That is a huge issue now because we've got Bosa and Mack coming in. It does not look good. We are all on the Chargers. I have an 18-17 win at Bank of America Stadium. Coming up, folks.
We should have talked about Ladd McConkey, by the way, who also gets in the end zone. I'm writing everything down. Ladd McConkey, another trip to the end zone in this one. I think Justin Herbert looks a little better throwing downfield. Just saying.
Oh, an improvement because past 10 yards it was not good in week 1, but things
That's okay.
Things change. Growing like Greg's heart from the Patriots win as they shocked the world last weekend. Ruined everyone's survivor picks. And by everyone, I mean me. That's what I'm talking about. Can they do it again this week against the Seahawks? It's the Greg Bowl coming up next on Game Day.
Championship football right there. That's not luck.
Wilson waiting on the step, extends the hands he has. Wilson, quick throw, and it's intercepted! Intercepted by Malcolm Butler! Butler has it at the 1! Malcolm Butler stepped in front of the throw! And the Patriots have possession with 20 seconds to go in Super Bowl 49 with a 4-point lead over the Seahawks.
Oh, fun to see Greg throw his hands up and celebrate that great moment for Patriots fans. I remember immediately turning the TV off when it happened. Congratulations to Malcolm Butler, who gets to perform keeper of the light duties in the 2024 home opener for the New England Patriots against the Seattle Seahawks after making one of the best defensive plays in Super Bowl history. It's time to seize the season, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, as we're looking at some first touchdown scorer odds between that Patriots and Seahawks matchup that's going to be going on in Foxborough. Kenny Walker III is the favorite. Ramondre Stevenson right after that, then DK, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith in Jigba. Let's discuss the Greg Bowl. Geno against the Patriots. It puts Greg in a dilemma between what he loves and what he believes. How do you decide?
Well, how about it's between what I love and what I love? I mean, I love Geno, I love the Patriots, but they're at different stages of development. I'm taking the Seahawks in this game 20-13 because there's two great defenses in this game, but there's only one great quarterback. That's Seattle. So let's talk about the Seahawks defense. A ton of pressure last week because of the guys in the back end playing so well. Bo Nix looks up, and he doesn't see anyone open in this game. Tariq Woolen had 7 throws against him last week. He gave up 17 yards and had that interception. Everything I heard about their training camp was he was on a mission. You put him and Devin Witherspoon in the same secondary, and you're just not going to find enough open receivers. I think it makes the Patriots offense very one-dimensional. The Seahawks stop the run, and they get a close, ugly win. Not revenge for Malcolm Butler, but something.
It's like choosing between which child you like best, and you just happen to pick
You can't do that. They're just better on different days. You know?
Got it. Okay, well, I don't have that problem. My math says Seattle wins this one 20-16. I want to point out a difference, something we are seeing, a new trick in Geno Smith's bag, and that's pre-snap motion. We saw the most pre-snap motion. I thought you were going to talk about that because I know you love Geno and you love pre-snap motion. 10 different pre-snap motions. 3 different guys did that. Also, about 70% of plays, we saw it. It made the O-line look like all-world O-linemen, which I love that. You know, that's my favorite. And we saw a lot of new wrinkles and folds, so it really makes the offense just totally different. We didn't know what we were going to see from Ryan Grubb. I think we're starting to see what that is going to be. Pre-snap motion, play action, fun stuff, wrinkles and folds. Be modern. They are.
One thing that kept them from looking modern was the fact that they gave up 2 safeties in the first half to the Denver Broncos. It could have been an ugly loss for the Seattle Seahawks in the opener, if not for the efforts of one Kenneth Walker III, who we're keeping an eye on because this week he was dealing with an oblique injury, but 5.2 yards per carry. When things weren't necessarily working well, Kenny Walker came out, goes down the sideline, flies into the end zone there, and it was no looking back.
Look at that burst.
After that, the burst, the explosiveness. Such a fun football player to watch. Looking forward to seeing the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots yet again. We're all on meme watch here.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody's taking
We're
the
triplets.
Seattle Seahawks.
We're triplets.
Yep, meme-us kids. And not one of you is better, although Greg does have a daily ranking, apparently, that we need to catch up on. Folks, download the Caesars Sportsbook app, an official sponsor of the NFL. New users, place your first bet up to $1,000, and if you lose, you get it back as a bonus bet. Use the promo code TV1000. Must be 21 or older. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. And hey, the 2024 NFL season is here. Single game tickets are on sale now. 17 games for all 32 teams. Visit NFL.com/tickets to purchase tickets today. Tickets available through Ticketmaster, SeatGeek, and Sports Illustrated, members of the NFL Ticket Network. The Jets and the Titans. Aaron Rodgers coming off a disappointing game against the 49ers. Meanwhile, the Titans blew a 17-point lead. Just a calamity of errors last week against the Bears. I like the Jets to rebound here, but only by 1 point, 21-20. We saw it in the first half against the San Francisco 49ers. The pairing of Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers that finally came into fruition as Aaron Rodgers was able to play more than a few snaps, and he had the ball down the sideline over Diamador North. It's like, oh, wow, this is going to be all game. It turns out it was only a drive. I know the fantasy world, there's some Alan Lazard truthers out there. One of those touchdowns was absolute garbage time. This is Garrett Wilson's passing offense, but the Titans at home, a scrappy team, the defense played great. That's why I've only got a 1-point win for the Jets.
Wasn't the other one on a free play too, where Aaron Rodgers was just like a monster? Anyways, I have the Jets winning this one too, 24-19. Will Levis, we love those deep passes. They're fun to watch. However, they create a ton of volatility. This is an area where you're not going to be able to target the Jets defense. Over the past, since the beginning of last season, so last season plus one game, they've allowed exactly 10, 20-plus air yard passes. So it takes away one of the things that Will Levis, makes him so volatile. It's just not going to work in this game. So my score is largely derived from the fact that this is not going to be the game where we see Will Levis just connect and look like that first time out last year when he just had his first game and we're like, well, we're all wrong about Will Levis. I think it's going to be something where the defense has an advantage.
Yeah, I think both defenses end up playing well in this game.
Yeah.
But I'm just going Just Greg. Just Greg Nation is out there.
Finally.
Let's go Titans, 23-20. Let's put the Jets on fraud watch. Just Greg got it right last week with the Steelers. Going to be right once again because of the running game for the Titans. Hey, how did the 49ers beat the Jets last week?
Running the ball.
By running it down their throats.
Yeah.
What did Bill Belichick say this week on one of his many media appearances? I can't remember which one. He said they'd always try to make plays when Jonathan Franklin Myers and Bryce Huff were on the field. Two great players for the Jets that are no longer there. Maybe they're not as good up front. You know who's better up front? The Titans. They inherit the Callahans, Brian brings his dad Bill there, and suddenly you got a really cohesive running game. Tony Pollard looked outstanding, looked like he had more burst than he had before, and there were holes there. So I think they run it down the Jets' throat, 2-0, or 0-2 rather, for the Jets.
Oh, right. So, and people slept on, Tony Pollard was hurt last year. That's why the burst was there, but the NORAD radar tracking Santa fraud flying to Florham Park, per Greg Rosenthal. Let's do the math, Cynthia Flynn, on this particular game. Aaron Rodgers threw for 167 yards in Week 1. Will he throw for over or under 225 against the Titans on Sunday?
Okay, so the Titans secondary is where we thought there were some questions, and we saw Aaron Rodgers not necessarily look like himself last week. How does the math net out? The number is 216. That's the number I have forecast for him, which is lower than 225. Why? I think they have to run the ball to control the football. I think both teams are far more proficient in the run game. This one stays on the ground. It stays a lower game, which means not enough opportunities for Rodgers to throw to hit that number.
Right. If the Titans end up running the ball as well as I think they will, the Jets just won't have the ball. I thought Aaron Rodgers looked fine last week, but you know who else looked fine? L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie, the two veteran corners for the Titans. They've been banged up, but they look pretty good out there.
All right, so we got a pick. We got one pick that separates all of us here on Game Day View when we come back. We're going to the desert to preview the Rams and Cardinals. Both squads coming up just short in Week 1 on the road. Who's the first to get their dub on Sunday? We'll tell you right after this quick break. We're back on Game Day View. Election Day is coming up, and we all need to be ready to show up big for our country. Make sure you know your state's voter registration deadline as well as requirements. For more resources and information, visit NFL.com/votes. Let's look over at some of the highest over-unders for Week 2, according to Caesars Sportsbook. 51.5 points in that playoff rematch between the Buccaneers and the Lions. And then the Rams and the Cardinals in the desert at 48 points. Second leading the way ahead of the Bengals and Chiefs. So let's discuss that Rams-Cardinals matchup. Vegas expecting fireworks in that point total there. Both squads coming off narrow losses. Is it a score fest in the desert where it's a narrow game? Greg, who wins it?
I have the Rams winning it. I'm looking at that number. The Rams are an underdog in this game. Give them to me because they only have the most indestructible quarterback in the league, Matthew Stafford. He got hit a lot last week. Their tackle situation is a problem. We're not sure if they're going to get Rob Havenstein back or not for this game, but Sean McVay has a week to prepare, and I think the schedule makers did him a favor. The one team on their entire schedule that I think they could hold up against in terms of pass protection is the Arizona Cardinals. They just don't have any pure pass rushers. So if you can get Matthew Stafford time, they have enough weapons, even without Puka Nacua. Look at Tyler Johnson, his replacement. Jordan Whittington made some plays. So they have enough playmakers. I think they get the win. Sean McVay and this Rams team beat the Cardinals by 40 combined points in their 2 matchups last year.
I'm completely with you. I think the wrong team is favored in this one. I have a 1-point win for the Rams, 26-25 in this matchup. Run the football. And you know who does that really well? The Rams. They're going to figure this one out. They have before. This is a puzzle they are uniquely suited to solve. Yes, I don't love the fact that the tackles are on the injury report and not playing. That's not great for any team. However, they're figuring out how to make the looks just enough different to keep Matthew Stafford, who potentially is the most underrated, first-round pick ever in terms of quarterback, most underrated ever. That's what I think Rams and Lions fans would both agree on that one. But they're going to run the football, and they're going to win.
Speaking of ratings, the Cardinals are favored for a reason, and they're also not favored on this show for several reasons that we have just outlined. I have a 3-point win for the Los Angeles Rams as well because, as Greg mentioned, we're not sure where the Cardinals' pass rush comes from. The Rams were already good with a set of good young pass rushers, and then they go out and they draft Jared Verse in the first round. They add Braden Fisk. Jared Verse equaled Will Anderson Jr., the Defensive Rookie of the Year's first game numbers. He comes out, he gets a sack against Jared Goff against the Lions offensive line at home in Detroit. He was very good right off of the bat. I just don't know where the pressure comes from the Cardinals. All love to Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he'll be better than Kyler Murray, who will look great in spots against the Buffalo Bills. It's just hard to take this Rams defense. It's so good so early. Meme away, children. We are all on the Los Angeles Rams. It's time to make some quick picks here on Game Day View. The Steelers and the Broncos in what would have been, we were so close to the Russell Wilson revenge game. Discuss. They played with his money a bit, Greg, but now you were the only one to take the Steelers last week.
Yes.
You taking the Steelers again?
Of course I am. I believe in you, Justin Fields. You can tell who didn't watch the game last week when they dog on Justin Fields. He played well in that game. Okay, they didn't score a touchdown, but he made a lot of winning football plays. Good throws down the field, smart times to run, one of the best running quarterbacks I believe that the game has ever seen, and I think he's getting more and more comfortable in this offense. They don't score a touchdown this week either. That's 6 field goals, 18-12. They don't give up any touchdowns either. It's a field goal fest in Denver.
You don't even really need touchdowns if you got this defense. But I do want to point out that George Pickens is again having the same trend carry over from last year, which is those deep outside the numbers passes. So if you're a fantasy player and you want to beat your opponent, go for a guy like this who's boom or bust, meaning he's either going to catch those insane bombs outside the numbers really deep, or he's not going to get anything. But it's fine. We'll go with the upside here.
Yeah, and at least they get to look at Justin Fields in practice so they can see a quarterback that moves, because Kirk Cousins definitely didn't move that well in the opener for the Atlanta Falcons. Bo Nix can get around as well, too, but we're all...
Late in the show, stray for Kirk Cousins.
Stray. He would like to move better, too. Let's get to the Colts and Packers in Lambeau. Malik Willis starting, Jordan Love dealing with that MCL sprain. How do you see this one going, Cynthia?
Indianapolis wins this one 22-18. Let's just talk about Anthony Richardson here. It's interesting to watch because we all know, yes, by the way, he's a running threat too. Everyone knows, including the Packers defense, including last week, the Houston Texans defense, but he still manages to make it look pretty easy here. I think it's going to be a nice week to target Alec Pierce. again, in fantasy, if you're looking for someone that he could connect with. But the threat of he and Jonathan Taylor is just too much for the Packers without Jordan Love.
There's something about this, though. We all picked the Colts, and I'm sticking with it, that I don't feel comfortable with.
Agreed.
You know,
it's at Lambeau.
The Packers are a home underdog. That's worrisome. It's the first time we've seen Malik Willis as a starter. The Colts defense gave up a lot of yards on the ground last week to Houston, and you can imagine Matt LaFleur, who's a really good coach, coming up with a good running game where it features Josh Jacobs, features Malik Willis. This would be a stay away for me, but we have to pick, and I pick the Colts.
And by the way, another free write this down. Josh Jacobs gets in the end zone. Easy.
Okay.
Easy one there.
Jacobs played well in the opener. It's just hard to not pick Anthony Richardson. There were contrails coming off that ball to Ashton Doolin on the reverse angle. Just an incredible thrower of the football. Last one, the Giants and the Commanders. A surprising straight-on here. I'm the only one taking the Washington Commanders after the way that the New York Giants looked against the Minnesota Vikings at home in the opener where they're honoring all these Giants greats. Aside from that, Jaden Daniels got pressured a whole lot by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but what he was able to do was get away with it with his feet. And yeah, the performance wasn't that great from the Commanders' defense, but I just think considering the offenses that are going to be on the field, I believe more in Jaden Daniels than I do in Dimes and the Giants.
Can we talk a little bit about Malik Neighbors, though? Because he very quietly leads all rookies in receiving yards.
Okay.
Come on. There was a little bit of love for a guy on it. That was a tough outing, but he still had the most yards of any rookie.
This was my hardest game to pick
Same.
the entire week. I think I wound up taking the Giants because the Washington game was the last one I watched, and the Bucs could have put up about 55 points. There were just receivers streaking wide open all game long, and there's something about the Giants are in year 3 of this program with Brandon Dable. If they can't win this game in game 2 of this Washington program, where I just don't think they're very talented, they're in deep trouble. So I'm just saying
Dexter
a little
Lawrence,
continuity.
Can we call him Dex? He watches the show, I'm sure of it. Dexter Lawrence had a really good game last week.
Yeah.
We got to give some love here. Dexter Lawrence, Malik Neighbors, come on. Those are the positive reasons here.
All love, and I probably should not do this because I do not want Greg and Cynthia to change their picks. But let's throw up some Dimes footage from last week. There's the AVG pick 6. He's done that a few times.
That was just a bad play call. Okay.
It's sometimes things, you hold on to the ball a little bit too long. You try to hide behind your tackle. You guys feel that the Harrison Smith, he's got a lot of folks, but all these things happen in the same game, guys.
They won't be wearing these uniforms, though. That alone is worth 3 points. Maybe more.
The uniforms?
I mean, you can't.
I love the historic Giants. I want the Strahan version. I like those uniforms best. I'm with you.
Here's the thing. If you're right, Daniel Jones may never play again for the Giants if they lose this.
The reason to believe is the threads. Coming up, it's time for Write This Down. We got some ghost pepper level spicy predictions for week 2. Who's going to be the spiciest? Stick around and find out. You're watching Game Day View.
It's Greg.
Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Rich Eisen, Kurt Warner, Steve Mariucci, Gerald McCoy, Cynthia Freeland, and the rest of the crew.
Again.
Wait, now you're not as tall as
Colleen and I are now smaller. Apparently they didn't like
Cynthia.
that.
They hurt us.
Looking forward to game day morning. Kurt explains what Aaron Rodgers needs to fix to get his first win of the season. Live reports from stadiums all across the league. Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern. As for us, it's time for Write This Down as we get some predictions for week 2. Greg's already been bold a couple times, so what you got, Greg?
I mean, I don't know if this is bold, but it's Tajay Spears. It's going to be right. Over 23.5 rushing yards. I mentioned how the Titans' ground game is going to grind the Jets to dust. And they're not just a backfield. Tony Pollard has a big game. Tajay Spears has a nice game, too. More carries this week, not just receptions. I'm so big on this Titans
Grind
team.
them to dust.
Who needs thunder and lightning when you got mortar and pestle? What you got, Cynthia?
I think mine's a little bit spicier than that one. I have Brock Bowers entering the end zone and scoring his first NFL touchdown this weekend. Why? He ran 9 of the routes on the route tree last week, which means they already trust him. This guy has been on the field for at least 26 snaps on offense. That means that this is going to be the opportunity. They need some pass catchers. They need something to get going here against the Ravens. Brock Bowers, touchdown, spicy. I also gave you some other ones that were less spicy, but that's a spicy one.
There were several things that you could write down for Cynthia Freeland.
I made a lot of writing today.
And you needed them because on this show, we were in lockstep for a lot of the time. We may be on here. Let me know if you guys agree with me on this. I think Derrick Henry is over 71 rushing yards against the Raiders on Sunday. In 6 of the last 7 games that Derrick Henry has played for a team, when they have won, he's gone over this number, and I think the game script allows for more Derrick Henry to not necessarily in the opener as the Chiefs went out a couple touchdowns. They had to try to pull him back in. Derrick Henry over 70.
That's about as spicy as the salad sitting on
Oh, no. As long as it's right, that's all that matters.
Sprinkle some cayenne pepper on that. Enjoy the games, everybody. Thanks for watching Game Day View, presented by Mercedes-Benz. We'll see you next week.